All right, good morning, students. So we have started the paper 2 and we are on January 2022. In today's class, we are going to look at the sequence question, also known as the investigative question, also known as the pattern question in the CSEC paper. Now, this question is usually worth around 9 to 10 marks, and it is question 7. It is a question where just by following the pattern, students can figure out the question. And if we do a number of sequence questions, it will help us when we sit the exam in May. So those of you who have the booklet can find January 2022. Those of you who don't have the booklet, that's fine. I did send all the past papers for you. If you didn't receive it, please be sure to send me a WhatsApp, and during the class, I will send it. In our sessions, we are starting from 2022 and we are going all the way to January 2019. In my eyes, that is enough past papers for you to get a feel of how CXC is going to bring the questions. Question 7 says, a sequence of figures is made from lines of unit length and dots. The lines form a series of octagons and squares. The dots are placed at each vertex. The first 3 figures in the sequence are shown below. So we have key things, some octagon. Well, what does the word octagon tell you? It comes from the word octopus, and we know the octopus has 8 legs. So the prefix oct means 8 sides. So it's an 8-sided figure. It is made up of squares as well. So it is a pattern. So really and truly, not having much knowledge of mathematics, we can see the pattern because we have an 8-sided figure and it is also bounded by some squares. So let us take a closer look at figure 1. Figure 1 is one octagon. Figure 2 is the octagon, but is joined by 2 squares and another octagon. So figure 2 is really figure 1, but we have this part here attached to it. Do you all see that?
Yes, miss.
Now, figure 3 is an extension of figure 2. So the examiner took figure 2, and you know what they did? They draw the square, and they draw the octagon, and they made figure 3. So every time we are moving from one figure to the other, we are adding 2 squares and an octagon. So very quickly in your mathematics booklet or in your page that you have, I would like you to take 2 minutes and you draw what this figure should look like. Add more lines so that it becomes figure 4. Right now, this is figure 3 because this is the exact same figure as this one. So very quickly, you can draw a quick sketch as to what you think figure 4 is going to look like. And I will do the same. Now, when you are doing questions like these, it's important that we draw it with a ruler and pencil. But for today, you can draw it freehand, that's fine. But when you're doing it for the exam, remember they are looking for accuracy as well. So we're looking for a square. And from this square, we are looking to draw an octagon. something similar to that. So this now is not figure 3, but figure 4. All right, do you all have that?
Yes.
All right, so we're moving on, right? We are moving on. Here's where the table is. The table is worth 2, 4, 6 marks. So we scored 2 marks here because anybody could draw that. Anybody could see that the figure is increasing by 2 squares and 1 octagon. So there's no reason why you're not supposed to be able to get that 2 marks, right? We are aiming for 2, 4, 6, 6 marks. Now, yes, you see this 2 marks? Almost every single student sitting in this class will be able to score this. But you see, when it reaches N, they don't know what to do for N. Like N is an alien, right? So let me show you how to find N. Now observe the number of dots. We are reached here yet. We're not concerned with that. Observe the number of dots. Is it increasing by a certain amount?
Yes.
How much is it increasing by?
8, miss.
So if I add 8 to 8, I will get 16. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, miss.
If I add 16 to 8, I will get 24. Yes? Right. So here what? Find the value here. Don't tell me just yet. You find it. Get your calculators ready. And by now, please, I am appealing to you. The scientific calculator will be your best friend in the exam. And please don't wait until the night before to buy the calculator. And then you're looking to see, well, what may say about the fraction function? How am I going to use that? Please, we need to get the calculator. Are we ready with the answer?
Yes, miss.
Right. So if I add 8 here, I will get 32. Did you all get that?
Yes, miss.
So almost every single one of you would get 8. So you would get 1 mark. So far we up to 3 marks, right? In this question, we have 3 marks. I didn't reach the perimeters yet. I didn't reach theirs yet. I'll leave in that. No. You see this 8 here? This 8 is being multiplied by n. So my first answer would be 8n. Well, where Miss get that from? Well, the 8 here tells me that I need to multiply it by n. That is how I am getting the formula. We are accustomed with area of a square, area of a rectangle by using a particular formula. In this question, they are asking you to find the formula. The formula begins with 8n. It doesn't necessarily have to be 8n, but it begins with 8n. How did Miss get 8n? Well, the difference between the two numbers is 8. So here, it must start with 8n. Now, let us see if my answer has to remain like that or it has to increase. Now, what is n? N is the figures. So 8 by 1, 8 by 2, 8 by 3. I am multiplying each number by 8 because according to what I have on my table, this is 8n. 8 multiplied by 1 is 8, not so? 8 multiplied by 2 is 16. Yes?
Yeah,
8
Yes.
multiplied by 3 is 24. So here I have secured another mark. I am up to 4 marks in this question because I have a formula for n. So if the figure was 25, the number of dots will be 8 by 25. And how do I know I'm correct? By substituting the figures into the formula. So the answer here is 8n. So I have 2 from the previous one. I have 1 mark here and I have 1 mark. So I'm up to 4 marks. Are you all okay so far? Are you all understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, miss.
Yes,
We're going
ma'am.
across now to the perimeter. We can't leave that out. So you do it in your booklet or in your page. Tell me how much we adding. Don't say it as yet. And find this answer for me.
Six, miss.
All right, let's go. What is the amount that I add from the first figure to get the second number?
Six, miss.
6.
So 20 plus 6 is how much?
26.
26.
Oh, so I'm up to 1 more mark. So right now I have 5. Right? So I had 2 from before, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 marks. Here now, my formula must start with 6. 6n. So here it must start with 6n. Now it doesn't have to only be 6n. Let me get that clear. So let us see if the formula works. Now 6 by 1 is equal to 6. 6 by 2 is equal to 12. 6 by 3 is equal to 18. But how much more do I add to 6 to get 8?
2.
2.
2.
How much more do I add to 12 to get 14?
2.
How much more do I add to 18 to get 20?
2.
So my formula must increase by 2. So here I have 6 marks. Do you all see that the formula has increased now by 2?
Yes, miss.
All right.
Yes.
So take down whatever you need on the screen. You have 1 minute. Then we're going to secure these 2 marks here. All right, are we finished?
Yes, miss.
Yes.
Now watch this. This formula is equal to this number for this figure. So they're telling you when you multiply some number by 6 and you add 2, the answer is 86. You have to figure out what is the number. And this is where the mathematics comes in. So here's what. 6n plus 2 is equal to 86. Find n. So let's be particular and let's look at what's going on. In order for me to get to n, I must get rid of 2. So making subject of the formula comes like a KFC sandwich, right? But KFC gets so expensive now, so we go to Royal Castle. Anyhow, so we want to get to the meat of the chicken, right? Or the meat of the bread. So in order for us to get to that patty, we need to remove the bread, we need to remove the lettuce, and that will give us the main part of the sandwich. The same thing with the subject of the formula. In order for me to reach 6n, I must get rid of plus 2. And how am I getting rid of plus 2? Well, I am moving it across. By me moving it, it cannot be positive again. The sign must change. 86 minus 2 is equal to 84. So here I have 6 multiplied by some number will give me 84. How am I going to get the number? Well, I need to divide by 6. So the number is 84 divided by 6, which is 14. Do you all understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're writing
Yes,
14
miss.
here. Go ahead. Somebody was saying something. Take it down. And you're using this formula here now and this number 14 to get this answer. Replace n with 14 to get this answer. All right. Now, so far, we have secured 7 marks. We have to get this mark here that will give us the 8th mark. How are we going to get it? Well, we know that n is 14 and we know the formula is 8n. So if we multiply 8 by 14, we should get 112. Did you all get that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, miss.
So if there is nothing in the paper that you can do as quickly, it should be question 7. But it takes practice. And the more questions we do, the faster you will be able to answer it. Now you see this part, see? This is a part that nearly 50% of the population writing exam leaves out. You know why? Because of how it is phrased. And from the time they start to read that n greater than 1, it is a major turnoff. But just like English, we have to read the question and answer what they ask. So for any figure n greater than 1, the number of dots is greater than the perimeter. That is what they are telling you. Determine the value for n in which for a figure in which the difference between D and P is 36. So here what? Take your pencil, take your ruler and underline this. This is what they want. What they want? The difference. The difference means to subtract. So D minus P is equal to 36. So that whole long tralala that they gave you, all they're asking you to find is the difference between D and P is equal to 36. So the formula for D, let me see, is 8n minus the formula for P is 6n plus 2 is equal to 36. You have to solve for n. So I am going to reach you at a certain point and you are going to do it. Now, you see this negative sign? It must count. It means we are multiplying each term by -1. So 8n multiplied by -1 here will give -6n, and -1 by +2 will give -2 is equal to 36. Now, here's what you're doing for me. Carry this -2, so it becomes positive. Subtract this and then divide by the number in front of the n. So you take it down and see what you can do with it. All right, so let's see what you have. By moving -2 across, this becomes 36 plus 2. Do you all have that?
Yes, miss. Yes, miss.
8n, like 8 apples, subtract 6 apples will give me 2 apples. So 2n is equal to 38. What is my next step? Do I leave it as it is? Or do I find it?
Until
What?
2
Divided by 2.
All right. But why am I dividing by 2 and not 3 or 5 or 7? What tells me that I need to divide by 2?
Mr. trying to bring n by itself. So you
Very good.
divide it by.
Did you all hear what she said? We need to get n by itself, and the coefficient, which is just a big number for the number in front of n, that tells us how much to divide by. So if it was 5n, well, we divided by 5. So let us cross out n, and n is equal to 19. So here I have successfully scored my 10 marks. So if you didn't get it, that's okay. We have now started. By the time we finish all the questions 7, I'm sure you will be able to work them out. So take it down. Those of you who are finished, we are moving on to the July 2021 question 7. All right, who can be so kind as to tell me what page the July 2021 paper?
155.
Thank you. So find it in your booklet quickly. If you don't have the booklet, that's fine. I sent it on WhatsApp this morning. So we're going to get question 7 and we're going to put it in our back pocket, right? So this is actually July 2021. Is it all found? Are you all ready?
Yes, Miss.
Now, CXC has realized that students draw those figures, the figure 4 crazy. So here what they do, they decide to give you a grade now because you will draw it all over the place and the shape could be distorted. So the first 3 figures in the sequence of shapes is found by connecting lines of unit length as shown below. So here, before we had the octagon and the square, here we have a square and a triangle. So let's follow the pattern. Figure 1 has 1 square and 1 triangle. Figure 2, we add another square and a triangle to figure 1. And figure 3 is actually figure 2, but it is joined by a square and a triangle. Do you all see that?
Yeah,
Now,
yes, ma'am.
in your booklet, take 1 minute and draw what you think figure 4 should look like. And I will do the same. All right, is the figure 4 properly drawn in your booklet or in your book?
Yes, Miss.
Notice
Yes, ma'am.
that my figure looking neat, right? So when you join it, remember the pages are scanned and uploaded onto the system for us to mark. So please, for God and heaven's sake, you all draw the question and draw it properly with a ruler and pencil. And don't draw it any scribble, right? We're trying to secure the most number of marks that we possibly can in question 7. So please, you have a ruler and pencil in the geometry set. If it's one day, use it for the exam, please. If you never use it throughout your secondary schooling, use it for the exam, right? All right. Let's see this table now. Now, how much do we add between the terms? Is it a fixed amount? And if yes, how much is it?
5.
Okay. Who agrees?
Yeah, miss.
No.
Yeah, miss.
You ever wondered what this dot means? Anybody ever wondered why they put this dot?
Miss,
Go ahead.
I think we did this one already.
That's okay. That's okay. We still going to do it.
Those three dots mean a continuing.
Huh?
The three dots mean that the sequence continuing.
Yes. So if you all didn't hear what he said, I will reiterate. He said that the sequence is continuing, and he's correct. But the examiner didn't want to crowd up the table, so they omitted some numbers. But the three dots means that the sequence is continuing. So here we could just write 4. And I want you to add 5 and then add 5 again and find this number for me. All right, who has the answer?
$26.
26. Who could confirm that 26 is the answer?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Right. Now, I reach here. N. What will my answer start with and why?
N.
Not N alone. You have to come better than that.
5N.
5N. Why 5N? Why 5N and not 3N or 8N?
Miss, because you're adding 5 to the number.
So here what? We not taking things lightly. It is 5N. How do I know it's 5N? Well, the difference tells me that it is 5. So here must be 5N. Right? So the answer is an N, but I am multiplying N by 5. So we have to write a formula here. So if N was 1, here we will multiply 5 by 1. Remember the formula here we have is 5N. So if N is 2, here would be 5 by 2. And if N is 3, this will be 5 by 3. Now, 5 multiplied by 1 is what?
5.
5 by 2.
10.
10.
And 5 by 3.
15.
Now watch this. But here I have 6. And here I have 11. But here I have 16. So how I get in the formula? It's 5N.
Plus 1.
Very good. So my formula is not only 5N, but 5N plus 1. Do you all see that?
Yes, miss.
Right?
Yes.
Right, we're going on the perimeter because we can't leave out that. So far, we have scored 4 marks. Right? We have 4 marks. Go on this side now. Find the common difference. Find this one. If you did it already, that's okay. You could do it again because with mathematics, practice makes perfect. You have to do it. You can't sit down and watch it or read it like English. No, no, no. Mathematics is the most important subject you will ever do. Mrs. Miguel said that, right? So you have to do it. Even if we do it again, we will do it many times until we get it. All right. How much do I add from one term to the next?
3.
So a quick question. What my formula will start with then?
3n.
3n. Not 5n, not 10n, not 6n. 3n. Why? Because I am adding 3. So here the answer must make sense. Now, what is this value here? Here will be 14, 17. Now we're going back to the formula, right? Remember, the formula isn't complete as yet. So here I have 3n and 3 by 1, 3 by 2, 3 by 3.
3n plus
3
2.
multiplied by 1 is 3. 3 multiplied by 2 is 6. 3 multiplied by 3 is 9. But I want to get 5 from 3, and I want to get 8 from 6, and I want to get 11 from 9. How
Plus
much
2.
do I? Very good. Thank you. So I need to add 2. So my formula becomes 3n plus 2. So far I have 2, 4, 6 marks. So I am well on my way past the half mark, right? So I can secure another 2 marks here. Tell me when you're ready.
Ready, miss?
All right, now we go in here now. This formula is equal to this. Just like the KFC burger, we have to find for n. So 5n plus 1 is equal to 66. So take out the burger, take out the lettuce, and find n. Take plus 1 and move it across, so it becomes minus. And just like when some students said, when we find n for n, we need to find n by itself. So n is being multiplied by 5, so you need to divide by 5. So I'm not going to do it just yet. I am going to give you the chance to do it. So go ahead. And even if you did it in the booklet, you could still try it to decide, right?
Let's have a question. Why you find for n using 66? Why you didn't work it out into the next one? Because I'm just continuing to the next one before the formula.
So that is a good question, Serafina. And why I am using 66 is because there is a big gap between 26 and 66. Now, remember, time is of the essence in the exam. So we could continue to add 5, but look, that is, we have to add 40 more to get that answer. But what they did tell us is that in this number of lines, this answer is 66. So if I have the formula for the number of lines and I put it equal to 66, I can find n.
Oh, so it don't really matter which one you use.
It matters because in the question we did before, we had to use the second formula. This one, they gave us the first answer here. So we have to use this formula. So which number they give you, that will tell you which formula to use. So Serafina, if 66 was here, we would have to use this formula. You understand?
Yes.
All right. Now feel free to ask all your questions now, because when we finish with question 7, we're going ahead. We're not coming back, right? So ask your questions, clear whatever little confusion that you have going on right now. We need to sort it out. Raise your hand if you have any questions, and it may very well benefit each and every one of you in the classroom. So 5n is equal to 66 minus 1. 5n is equal to 65. Am I finished?
No, miss.
Do I leave it as 5n equals 65?
No, miss.
All right.
No, miss.
So
Divide
I don't know what to do. What do I do to complete the equation for n?
Miss, divide 65 by 5.
All right. And that will give me n is equal to
13.
so I have 7 marks. I'm going for the 8 mark. I want to make sure I get all the marks in this question. I have 7 so far, going for the 8th one. Now, quick question. Anybody could answer. How am I going to get this? Do I know the formula? For this column, do you know the formula?
Yeah,
Yes,
miss.
miss.
What is the formula, Pancho?
That could be 3n plus 2.
Right, but you're telling me 3n plus 2, but how much is n? How much is n?
And it's 3 or something.
No. How
Miss
much is
Teen?
n? 13. So Pancho, you were correct. It is 3n plus 2, but you didn't know what n was. We find in for this row, and n is 13. You seeing it? Look here.
EMS, yeah.
Right. So we don't have to make up things, right? The question gives us everything. So replace n with 13 and get this answer. All right. So I use my calculator. 3 by 13 plus 2. What is the answer?
41, miss.
41, miss.
Right. So hooray, I have 2, 4, 6, 8 marks. So I am doing a fantastic job so far, right? We have 8 marks in the paper 2, so we have 92 marks again to get because the paper 2 is worth 100, right? Does anybody need to take down anything before we move on? Let me leave it up there for a minute before we move to the next one. All right, let's go. And this is worth 2 marks. You see, from the time students start to read simplified expression, difference, they don't know what to put it. So automatically, they're leaving it out. But here what? Just like English, we need to read and they're telling you exactly what they want you to find. Write an expression, okay, For what? The difference means the takeaway. The difference between the number of lines and the perimeter. So all they're asking is for you to subtract, what you're subtracting? The difference between the number of lines and the perimeter. So the formula for the number of lines and the perimeter. So D is equal to L minus P. The formula for L is 5n plus 1. Subtract 3n plus 2. I'm not going to do it, you do it. And here what? Remember, when you multiply by a negative, this becomes negative and this becomes negative. So please don't put the wrong thing there. Here would be negative, here would also be negative. So work it out.
Two n minus 1.
2n minus 1. So here, I should have put this line. 5n plus 1 take away 3n minus 2. Why is it minus? Because we are changing the sign by multiplying by the negative. I am pulling all my terms in n together. So 5n minus 3n. And in mathematics, we like to work with positive numbers. So you will put the positive 1 minus 2. We know 5 take away 3 will give us 2. So this is 2n. And 1 subtract 2. If you can't figure that out, please use the calculator. There's no need to guess and there's no need to get it wrong. So you put in 1 minus 2. The calculator gives you minus 1. Take it on. All right, is anybody still writing?
No, miss.
All right. So I'm not doing the January 2021 just yet because we're not at that level. So we will do that one tomorrow. However, find for me in your booklet January 2022. 2020, sorry, because we want to be a little more comfortable with the question before we do the 2021 January. So we're looking at January 2020. What page is it on the booklet? January 2020. Who could be so kind as to tell the others what page is it?
124.
Thank you, Ronaldinho. Would you all like to try it?
This is not our one, eh? It's the next one. So long, I'll have it again.
No, we're doing this one. This one I'm looking for.
Miss is
Find
on
this
page
one.
90.
Page 90. Ronaldinho, we will do that other one tomorrow.
Okay, miss.
Do you all want to try it on your own?
Yeah.
All right, try it. Let's see what you come up with. So you don't have any fourth figure to draw, but you do have the table. For those of you who don't have it, you could use it on my screen. Can everyone see it?
Yeah, miss.
Finish, miss.
Give the others a few minutes. Those of you who are on social media, right? For those of you who are on social media, I will be sending my link, my Instagram link, and I do ask that you go and follow me. The reason being, we have to use the technology that is available to us. Every day, I will be posting some multiple choice questions, right? Every day, I will be posting some multiple choice questions, and it is the best forum for us to do the multiple choice. So every day, I will be posting 5 questions, and let us use it to our advantage. I tried it last year with my students that were writing exam, and it worked out beautifully. So those of you who are in the chat and those of you who have access to social media, right? I will be posting up the questions for you to do. Now on Instagram, there is a quiz section where I can select the answer. You can do it and you can see if you get the correct answer. So it helps us as well, because if we do 5 questions every day, then in 5 days, we'll do 25 questions. And in 2 weeks, we will do 25 by 2, which is 50. So you could imagine from now to the 11th of May, how many questions we would have done on social media. So I will be sending my Instagram account, and I urge you to go and join and look out for the 5 questions that I will be posting. Let us use the social media to our advantage. It works beautifully, right? So sometime during the course of the day, I will be posting up the questions. Are we ready?
Yes,
Does anyone require a few minutes again, or can we start? Okay. So a sequence of figures is made up of stars using dots and sticks of different lengths. The first 3 figures in the sequence are shown below. So we have a star made up of dots and sticks. We're not really concerned with that. We're concerned with the figure here. We have 2 columns, the first column being sticks and the second column being dots. For those of you who are working out the question, the number of sticks here is 156. So it means that we will use this formula to find 156, and that will give us n. Now, is it a constant amount that we are adding?
Yes,
Yes.
miss.
yes.
How much is it?
12.
12.
So my formula here will start with 12n, that's all,
Yes, miss.
right? And 48 plus 12 is 60. Now, that don't mean you're writing 12n and you're going to forget about it. You need to check it. So 12 by 1, 12 by 2, 12 by 3. 12 by 1 is 12, so that's correct. 12 by 2 is 24, so that's correct. 12 by 3 is 36, so my formula stops at 12n. Do we have that?
Yes, miss.
Yeah, miss.
Yes, ma'am.
We go into the number of dots now. So, how much?
12.
12.
So here we start with 12n. 69 plus 12 is 61. You have that?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Oh, that doesn't mean we're going to stop there. We need to check the answer. 12 by 1 is 12. 12 by 2 is 24. 12 by 3 is 36. But look at the situation I have here now. Here is 12, but the number of dots is 13. Here is 24, but the number of dots is 25. Here is 36, but the number of dots is 37. So how do I change the formula to get 13, 25, and 37?
By adding 1, miss.
Very good. I added 1.
About 12.
Now, a question. So I have 2, 4. I get 4 marks, but I'm not satisfied. I want to get full marks. how am I going to find this? What information am I going to use? How am I finding n? This formula is equal to 156. Do you all see that?
Yeah, miss.
Yes, miss.
So, what are we going to do with that? 12n is 156. How am I going to find n?
Miss, they divide 156 by 12.
Thank you very much, Lily. So I am going to divide by 12. So n is equal to 13.
Yes, miss.
Now, how am I going to find this now? Which formula am I going to use and what number for n I'm going to use?
You have to multiply 13 by 12 and plus 1 thing.
Very good. So he answered everything all in one. Thank you, Ronaldinho. So you multiply 13 by 12 and you add 1. Go ahead.
Oh, it's 157.
157. Excellent. So those of you who didn't get it, take it out. So we secured 246, we passed, we benchmark. Our benchmark was half the mark, which was 5. So we well on our way. All right, let's go. Let's see what they're asking here now. The sum, the word sum means to add. The sum of what? The number of dots in 2 consecutive. It means that it's one number and the previous one. It follows in a sequence. The information for the first 3 pairs of consecutive figures are shown in the table below. Determine the number of dots in figure 7 and figure 8. So what they are adding is really the number of dots in the first 2. But let's go back to the table and let's see how we could make sense of this. So they're saying for figure 1 and 2, they add in 13 and 25. So let me go. So figure 1, they add 13 and they add 25. You all see that?
Yeah, miss.
For figure 2 and 3, they add in 25 and 37. So let me go back. Figure 2 is 25. This is figure 2. Figure 3 is 37. So they get 62. Now for figure 3 and 4, they add in, figure 3 is 37. And figure 4, the number of dots is 49. So 37 plus 49 will give us 86. So we have to find for figure 7 and figure 8. You have 2 options. Let us use the formula. Do you know the formula for the number of dots?
Yeah, miss.
Right. So when n is 7, you're using 12n plus 1. This is the formula. And when n is equal to 8, find for me the answer. Go ahead. This is the formula you're using. The number of, I shall write it as the number of dots. D is equal to All right, do we have an answer?
I get 181.
181. So 12 by 7 plus 1. 12 sevens are 84 plus 1, 85. 12 by 8 plus 1. 12 eights are 96 plus 1, 97. I have 182.
I
Let's not forget
get
to
it,
add
miss.
one for the figure 8.
Okay. All right. Is there anybody who got 182?
Yes, Miss.
Yeah, miss.
So,
Yeah, miss.
Yeah,
so
miss, I
far,
get that.
very good. So far, we get 2, 4, 6, 8. We're going for the final 2 marks. They want figure n and n plus 1. From the time you see that n plus 1, that is a major turn off and you will leave it out. But no, 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 we have to secure maximum marks in this question. So D is 12n plus 1. Work out for me when n is equal to n. And when n is 12, when n is equal to n plus 1. So just substitute n as n and n as n plus 1. What do I mean? Well, this remains the same. You just replace n with n, so that stays. Here now, you replace n with n plus 1. So multiply each term in the bracket by 12 and simplify this for me. Multiply each term in the bracket and simplify it. All right, so here we're supposed to have 12n plus 12 plus 1. Do you all have that?
Yes, Miss.
And this will be 12n plus 13. So let us add 12n plus 1 to 12n plus 13. Write your final answer. Who would like to give me the answer? 12n plus 12,
Plus 4.
24n plus
14.
14. Is there anybody else who got that?
Miss.
All right. So this brings us to the end of the paper 2 segment. It is 11:25. We are taking a break for 10 minutes. When we return, we're going to the best part of the class, which is the multiple choice. So you all return at 11:35 and we will start the multiple choice questions. So we're taking a break for 10 minutes. So the first question from January 2019, the product of negative 2a multiplied. Ensure that the first line is solid, the second line, the last line is solid, and the lines in between are dotted. So if I were to draw figure 4, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, we're using a ruler and a pencil, especially for the exam. This is where we make use of that geometry set that you would have bought since Form 1, and some of you all never use. Right, so the diagram, all right? Could somebody be so kind as to tell me what page is it on in the booklet?
Page 21, Miss.
Thank you. Page 21. For those of you who just joined, this past paper is located on page 21. So the fourth figure of the sequence is supposed to look like this. We have 4 figure 1s. The first and the last line is solid, but in between we have dotted lines. Do you all have that?
Yes, Miss.
Now, let's look at the table. So if you notice, it's a little bit different from what we did yesterday. However, let us do the perimeter first. What is the amount that I add in between?
3.
So my answer must start with 3n. Do you all have that?
Yes, Miss.
Right. So let me use the number 1. 3 multiplied by 1 will give me 3. The second figure is 2. 3 multiplied by 2 is 6. However, the value in my table is 5 and 8. So it means my formula must increase. I have 3 and I want to get 5. Do I add or do I subtract?
Miss, you add 2.
All right, so I add 2. This will give me 5 and this will give me 8. My formula is 3n plus 2. I do hope that you all were able to get that. So if I use the formula here now, 3 by 6 plus 2, I will get 20. Let's continue. Following my number of outer lines of unit length, I am looking for a pattern. Ever since you all was small and going in kindergarten, you all have been playing with blocks and looking for patterns and trying to put puzzles together and shapes and whatnot. This question is the same thing. It's an investigative, it's a pattern, it's a sequence, right? So let us look at the pattern. For figure 1, we add 1. Okay, well, that's the same. So the number here is 1. Then we add 2. And then we add another 2. Okay, so that's for figure 1. Let's go to figure 2 and see how it makes sense. So the figure 2 here is the same. So it means that I start with the figure number. So if it is 1, I start with 1. If it is 2, I start with 2. Then I add 2. Well, I'm noticing that 2 is the constant here, right? I'm noticing that 2 is constant. But then here I have 4. So if I think to myself, well, how do I get 4 from the number 2? And how do I get 2 from the number 1? It will automatically tell me that I multiply the number by 2. let's see if the same thing applies. So if I start with figure 3, I know my starting number must be 3, and 2 is constant. So 3 plus 2, and this will give me 3 by 2, which is 6. So I'm starting to generate, I'm starting to form the sequence. So for those of you who are not seeing it, I will do 4 and 5. So if I have figure 4, I know my starting number must be 4. I know that the constant is 2, and 4 by 2 is 8. Similarly, for 5, my starting number is 5. I am adding 2, and I am multiplying 5 by 2 to get 10. So you see how the pattern is starting to form. You are not required to do 4 and 5. The only reason I'm doing 4 and 5 is to get you accustomed with the pattern. So therefore, what is required of me is 6. So 6 plus 2, and 6 2s are 12. Do you all have that?
Yes.
Yeah, Miss.
Yeah, miss.
Now, in terms of n, so this one is a little bit different because yes, we can add the numbers and come up with the amount, but they want it in a specific way. So 2 is constant. So I must see 2. That's constant. And n could be any number. So n could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But they want it in terms of n. So it means our formula must start with n. And then what we are doing to the number n, or to the variable n, we simply multiply it by 2. And if you notice, n plus 2n is 3n plus 2. So even if you didn't get this part, that's fine. I just want to guide you as to getting the formula that the examiner is looking for. They are looking for a formula in a particular way. That is why they gave you the formulas for 1 to 3, and they ask you to find it for 6. All you are doing, you are replacing the number with n. So n replaces 6 and 2n replaces 12. Why? Because to get 12, I multiply 6 by 2, right? So we want to get the figure number here. But the only information I have in this row is this number, 65. And this 65 pertains to this formula. So 65 pertains to this formula. So by me putting 3n plus 2 equal to 65, I can solve for n. The opposite of plus 2, if I take it across, is minus. 3n is 65 minus 2. So 3n is equal to 63. And just like any variable, to find for n, we simply divide by the number in front. So we divide by 3. N is equal to 21. So here I would score 2, 4. I have 5 marks so far. I need to get the last mark. Following the formula, 21 is my start number. 2, I am adding, that's my constant. And to get the next number, I simply multiply 21 by 2 to get 42. Did you all get that?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, miss.
So those of you who didn't get it, I am leaving it on the screen so that you can take it down, right? In addition to that, I need you, if you haven't done so, Because it's so much information, I cannot send everything on WhatsApp. So I have a Google Classroom. Some of the students are there already. Those are my regular students. They are there in the Google Classroom already. Those of you who are not a part of my Google Classroom, please send me your email address. All the solutions, all the Zoom recordings, all the class materials will be uploaded in one place, the Google Classroom, because I like things in a particular way and I like things in a particular structure. So when I send the Google Classroom, imagine at the end of this week, we have 5 recordings. You don't know which recording Miss did for question 7, which recording Miss did for question 8, which recording to do. So we need to move quickly. So by me uploading it in the Google Classroom, everything is tagged and everything is labeled properly. In addition to that, there's a wide range of recordings accessible for you. So you could go back and see what I did last year, or you could go back and see what I did in January. If you just want a little bit of practice with the questions, it is there for you. So please provide me with your email address so I can add you and you can be a part of my Google Classroom and you can access all the materials. All right. Show that no figure can have a perimeter of 100. Well, this is the part that students like to omit. What did they say? Show no figure has a perimeter of 100. Well, let's go to the perimeter column. In the perimeter column, there's a formula. So we want to show that P cannot be 100. So let us put P equals 100. Now, if I get a decimal or I get a mixed number, it means that the perimeter cannot be 100, right? If I get a fraction or a decimal for n. So 3n is equal to 100 minus 2, which is 98. If I divide by 3, n is equal to 32 and 2/3. 32 and 2/3. 32 and 2/3. What this is saying, n must be an integer. N is not an integer, and n is a mixed number. So therefore, P cannot be 100. If you notice in the column or in the first column where there is figure, there is no figure called 1.5, or there is no figure called 1 and 2/3. The figures there are whole numbers. So there is no mixed number. So the perimeter could never be 100, because if the perimeter is 100, it means that the value of n is 32 and 2/3, and we cannot have that. We need to have whole numbers, not mixed numbers. So that is why P cannot be 100. So take down whatever you need. We are moving along to June 2019. If anybody could be so kind as to tell us what page it is. June 2019, question 7.
Fifth.
Page 54.
All right, let's continue. May, June is the same thing, okay? If it's May, May and June is the same thing. So this is May or June 2019, and this is on page 54. Is it found?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, Miss.
Right. The nth term. Don't be confused or don't be intimidated by n. N is a variable just like A, just like X, just like Y, and it could take any value. For 1 mark, so imagine this is 1 mark, they're asking us to show the first term is 1. So that is not supposed to be difficult, because if it's only 1 mark, therefore we're supposed to be able to do that. So replace n with 1. So this becomes T1 is equal to 3 open bracket 1 squared minus 2. Now, if you don't know what is 1 squared, there's a function in the calculator for that. But 1 squared simply means that we multiply the number by itself. So 1 squared is 1 times 1, which is 1. So this is 3 multiplied by 1, take away 2. 3 multiplied by 1 is 3, minus 2 is 1. So I have proven that. And in mathematics, when we prove something, we write QED. Whenever you move further into advanced level or even into university level, you write QED, and the QED means that was quite easily done. That means that is the end of the question and you have proven what they ask. So if you didn't have it, write QED at the end. Signaling the person marking your paper, you have completed it and you have showed what they ask. What is the third term? Well, here what? If you could get the first term, there's no reason why I can't get the third terminal. And this is also 1 mark. So they are building you up. They're not giving you a whole sequence, they are building you up, right? So the third term, T3, is 3 by 3 squared minus 2. 3 squared is not 3 multiplied by 2. However, 3 squared is 3 multiplied by 3, which is 9. So 3 multiplied by 9 minus 2. The answer, 27 minus 2, which is 25. Do you all have that?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, Miss.
Very good. Right. Given Tn is 145, what is the value? And there is no reason why you are supposed to omit this or not be able to do it. They are telling you Tn is 145. So let's go back. We have a formula for Tn. So it simply means Tn from before is 3n squared minus 2, and Tn here is 145. Both equation has Tn, so this means that 3n squared minus 2 is 145. I am sure that there is somebody in class who did not work out this part, so I'm giving you a couple minutes, and this is worth 3 marks. So go ahead. All right, let's go. So if I move this across here, 3n squared is equal to 145 plus 2, which is 147. So 3n squared is 147. Well, just like my sandwich, right? And for those of you who don't know, condiments are free in KFC now, right? So they have listened to the public and the condiments are free. So we no longer have to pay, so we can leave the Royal Castle and go back to KFC. So 3n squared is equal to 147. So we will divide by 3. N squared is 147 divided by 3, which is 49. How much is n? And how do I find n? What do I do? Anybody? N squared is 49. What is n?
That's the square root.
Yes, Amrita, go ahead. What is n? You hearing me?
Yeah, Miss, that's square root.
All right.
49.
So therefore, n is the square root of 49. N is 7. So for 3 marks, it was a lot of working. Actually, if I had to put a value here, I would have given 2 marks because it's simple as changing the subject of the formula and finding the square root. But nevertheless, n is 7. So those of you who didn't get it, I do hope that you understand now. When you have 2 equations that has the same, so both are Tn, we can put one equation equal to the other and solve for the variable. All right, so take it down. We are going to the next part of the question. Now, it's important that after Mrs. Miguel does the question, to reinforce what I do, you are to do the questions on your own. If you do not get it correct the first time, you can do it again. If you do not get it correct the second time, you have to do it again. In mathematics, we need to practice, and practice makes perfect. As I said to you yesterday, and I keep saying to you, failure is not an option. We need to pass mathematics, and we need to pass it in our first attempt. And the effort and the time that we put in today is going to determine what grade we get when results come out. So let's try and pass it in one shot so that we don't have to redo it and look at our textbook again. Now, mathematics is so interesting and it's so important that this sequence is called the Fibonacci sequence. I don't know how many of you all know that, but to break the tone a little bit, I would like to show you a short video.
The Fibonacci.
Are you all hearing?
Yes,
Yeah,
Miss.
The Fibonacci sequence is a set of numbers following the rule that each number is equal to the sum of the 2 preceding numbers.
So it follows a particular rule such that each number is equal to the sum of the 2 preceding numbers. I would like you to remember that. It follows a rule so that each number is the sum of the two numbers before it. That is what the word preceding means. The number is equal to the sum of the very two numbers that occur before it.
So the sequence looks like this. Visually, this creates a swirling pattern as the sequence goes on. The Fibonacci sequence is named after Italian mathematician Leonardo of Pisa, who used this sequence to illustrate a problem on breeding rabbits. How many pairs of rabbits will be produced in a year beginning with a single pair if in every month each pair bears a new pair which becomes productive from the second month on? Fibonacci numbers are found everywhere in nature, from the branching of trees and leaves to the distribution of raspberry seeds to the pattern of flower petals, even on the human body. Most body parts follow the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 5, from the fingers on each hand to the proportions on your face, also known as the golden ratio, roughly 1 to 1.6. Design experts use both the Fibonacci sequence and golden ratio to guide architecture, websites, and user interfaces, among other things.
Math wasn't made up to harass English majors. It was invented by a little something called nature. And it's everywhere you look. In fact, there are specific numbers that we see in nature all the time. Together, they're called the Fibonacci sequence, and it goes something like this. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55. You may know this pattern. The first and the second add up to the third, and the second and the third add up to the fourth, and the fourth and the fifth add up to the sixth, and so on. The sequence was first described by mathematicians in India about 1300 years ago, and it was introduced to the West in 1202 by Leonardo of Pisa, aka Fibonacci, who is also responsible for introducing Arabic numerals to Europe, which, yeah, if he hadn't done that, we'd still be counting in Roman numerals, which would be terrible. Fibonacci was a mathematician, and in his book Liber Abaci, he described this sequence with a thought experiments about a family of incestuous bunnies. If you put one boy bunny and one girl bunny together, that's 2, and those 2 together will make a third, and those 3, when they're done, taking turns, will make 5, etc. But the easiest place to find these numbers in nature isn't in bunnies, it's in plants. If you cut a banana into slices, you'll see that it has 3 distinct sections. An apple has 5. No matter what kind of flower you're looking at, chances are it has 3, 5, 8, 13, or 21 petals. Rows of seeds in sunflowers and pine cones always add up to Fibonacci numbers. Now, plants don't grow this way because they're receiving some kind of mysterious cosmic mandate. They're doing it because it's the most efficient way to pack as many seeds as possible into a small space. And if you want to see why that is, you can go watch Vihart's video, which is linked in the description, and it's awesome. But in addition to the numbers themselves, you also see the same ratio between Fibonacci numbers showing up. See, when you divide almost any Fibonacci number by the one before it in the sequence, especially the larger ones, you get the same number. 1.618 ... well, lots of numbers. The Greeks discovered this long before Fibonacci, and they called it phi. Today, it's sometimes known as the golden ratio. Phi was purportedly used by the ancient Greek sculptor Phidias to illustrate the idea of physical perfection. He's said to have used phi as a ratio between a statue's total height and the distance from the bottom of its feet to its navel, for instance, and also the length of a face divided by its width. There's a whole other set of patterns in nature that are based on what's called the golden rectangle. A rectangle whose side lengths are successive Fibonacci numbers like 8 by 13. This rectangle can be divided up into a series of squares whose lengths are also successive Fibonacci numbers, in this case 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 3 by 3, 5 by 5, and 8 by 8. When you draw an arc from one corner of each square to the other, they join to form a spiral that resembles many of the spirals we observe in nature. From the unfolding leaves of a desert succulent to the arrangement of those pine cone lobes and sunflower seeds and the shells of some snails. The math, you guys. It can be beautiful too. Thanks for watching this episode of SciShow. If you would like to get in touch with
All right, so that was just a brief introduction on the Fibonacci sequence. So when you have time, mathematics is so interesting. When you have time and you are browsing social media, or by the way, Did you all do the 5 questions on social media yesterday on my Instagram page?
Yes, miss.
Yeah, miss.
Now, if you get it wrong, nobody knows, right? Nobody knows if you get it wrong. Just give me a second, right? All right, so the Fibonacci sequence tells us about how the numbers are arranged in a particular sequence. And the reason that I showed the video is that I want you to see how meaningful mathematics is and how mathematics relates to nature. And I want you to appreciate the sequence. Now, this is a question where students will just look at the question, and because of how it is worded, they automatically omit it because it doesn't make sense. But if you can go further and you can look at some videos on YouTube on the Fibonacci sequence, it will make sense. I was saying about the Instagram. The Instagram is for you, is to actually help you to do the questions. So what I did, the same questions that we did yesterday, I chose 5 of them and I posted it on my IG account. It is a quiz, so you can go and you can pick the correct answer. The only person who can see if you get them correct or you get them wrong is me. Nobody else sees it. And it's not for me to know, it's for me to know how much you are understanding. And it's for me to know how much work I have to do with you. Now, I told you all, if every day I'm posting 5 questions, at the end of the week, we have 25. And at the end of next week, we have 50. So you could imagine between now and the 11th of May, how many questions you would be exposed to. So it is like mathematics on the go, and it is a way for you to actually do the questions at your fingertips. So I urge you to join my IG and to do the questions, right? All right, let's go. U1 is the first term, and that is 1. U2 is the second term, and that is 1 also. U3 is the third term. U4 is the fourth term. U5, U6, U7, U8. So for those of you who did not label the sequence, do so now, please. All right. Now, what I want you to understand, according to the Fibonacci sequence, the number is made up by the 2 preceding numbers, by the sum of the 2 preceding numbers. So for the 5th term, what precedes or what comes before are the 3rd and 4th terms. For the 7th term, what precedes or what comes before is the 6th and 5th term. Do you all see that?
Yes,
Yes,
miss.
And I do hope that you appreciate the sequence because it is important to mathematics. What they are asking is for the next 2 terms in the sequence. That is U9 and U10. So what precedes U9? What are the 2 numbers? What comes before 9? What are the 2 numbers that
U8
come?
plus U7, miss.
U8 plus U7. Now, according to this, U8 is 21 and U7 is 13. So we can replace this with 21 plus 13 to get 34. Do you all have that?
Yes, Miss.
All right. Similarly, let me pause and give you a chance to work out U10 because there must be somebody in the class in the class who didn't do it or who left out that. All right. So U10 now, the numbers that precedes, meaning the numbers that come before U10 is U9 plus U8. So they gave you to find U9, which is 34. So we are replacing U9 with 34 and U8 is 21. So I do hope you have 31 plus 21 is 55.
Yes, Miss.
Very good. So in case anybody wishes to take it down, go ahead. So sometimes it's all about finding the pattern. So which term is the sum of U18 and U19? Well, U19 plus U18, well, these two precede or come before the number 20. So the term in the sequence they are looking for is U20. Do you all have that?
Yes, Miss.
All right, the last one now. Show that U20 minus U19, and this is worth 2 marks. Show that U20 minus U19 is equal to this. So let us don't get confused. We need to write U20. And in the previous part, they gave us U18 plus U19. Remember, 18 and 19 comes before 20. U19, what precedes U19? What are the two terms?
18 and 17.
17 and 18, very good. Now, look, we are going in the right direction. The answer we're looking for is U19 minus U17. Here, I have those terms. So, if I subtract 18 minus U18 will give me 0. And this will be U19 minus U17. And this is U20 minus U19. And this was QED, quite easily done. If I subtract 18, this will give us U19 minus U17. What I'm trying to show you is that this is going to cancel when we subtract it. Did you all get that?
Yes, Miss.
We have one more question 7 to do, which was the January 2021. So we're going to do that one. And when we are finished, we will take a short break. And then when we come back, we will go straight into the multiple choice. So if you are finished writing, find in your booklet January 2021. And let us know what page it is so that the others can find it quickly as well.
Excuse me, what page? I mean, what year?
January 2021. When it is found, please tell us what page it is.
In paper 2, right, miss?
Yes, it is paper 2.
It's starting at page 140.
All right, but what page is question 7 on?
Question 7 is
124.
124. So find in your booklet, this is January 2021, page 124. Those of you who do not have the booklet can follow on my screen, and I did send all the past papers via WhatsApp. Are we ready?
Yes, miss.
The diagrams below shows a sequence of figures made up of circles and dots. Each figure has 1 dot in the center and 4 dots on the circumference of each circle. The radius of the first circle is 1 unit. The radius of the new circle is 1 unit greater than the radius of the previous circle. Except for the first circle, a portion of each of the other figures is shaded. All right, so that was a little plenty, right? Let us look at the table. So don't be intimidated by pi. Pi is just a variable. Please don't be intimidated by pi. Pi is just a variable, and we know pi is 22/7 or 3.142. And just a short while ago, we celebrated World Pi Day on the 3rd of March, right? So, oh no, on the 14th of March, because it was the 3rd, 3.14. Yes, so it was the 14th of March is World Pi Day. Let us work the second column. So my first number is 5. Am I adding a constant amount? And if yes, how much is it?
Yes, miss. 4.
So, Jonathan, how will my answer appear? What would my answer be like in this for this line?
4n.
Right. So it starts with 4n. Now, I am using the figures, the numbers here as n. So 4 by 1 will give me 4. But here I have 5. So it means that my formula needs to increase. Now I want you to pay attention to something. Not all the time we have to add in the formula. Sometimes we may get a formula like 4n minus. So be mindful that in the questions that we did, we had to add, but it is very possible that they bring a sequence where you have to put a formula like 4n minus, right? So just be mindful. If n is 2, 4 by 2 is 8, but I have 9. So it means that to my formula, I am adding 1. Do you all have that?
Yes, miss.
Yes, ma'am.
So if n is 5, 4 by 5 plus 1, 21. So at least we would have scored 2 marks. Yes?
Yeah, miss.
Now, let us look at the area of the outer largest circle. Now, there are some numbers in mathematics that you need to know, and those are the square numbers. From the time you spot numbers like 4, 9, 16, 25, and you have 2, 3, 4, 5, automatically you know 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25. So if the variable is n, this simply becomes n squared by, because I am squaring whatever number n is. If n is 1, 1 squared is 1. If n is 2, 2 squared is 4. If n is 3, 3 squared is 9. If n is 4, 4 squared is 16. If n is 5, 5 squared is 25. All right? Now, in between the numbers here, am I adding a constant amount? And how much is it?
Yes, miss.
How much is it?
2, miss.
So my formula will start with 2n, not so?
Yes, miss.
Now, 7 plus 2 will give me 9 pi. You all have that?
Yeah, miss.
Camels.
Right. Now watch this. 2 by 2, because the formula is 2n, is equal to 4. And 2 by 3 is equal to 6. But here I have 3 and 5. So how would my formula decrease? How much must it decrease by?
1, miss.
By 1. So the formula is 2n minus 1 pi. Because from 4, I need to get 3 pi. And from 5, I need to get, from 6, I need to get 5. So as I was saying a short while ago, not all the time in the formula you have to add. There may very well be an instant where the formula has some subtraction. The next one now. How much am I adding? What is the difference between the numbers? So this first one is 2. The next one is 4. I'm sorry, 6. How much did I add?
4, miss.
4. Then 6 and 12. How much did I add?
6, miss.
Then 12 and 20. How much did I add?
8, miss.
No, this is not, we can't write it in terms like how, because it's not a constant amount, the formula has to be a little bit different, right? Only when we add a constant amount, we can write 4n or we can write 2n. Now, if we follow the pattern, we have 4, 6, 8. What comes after 8?
10.
10. So 20 plus 10 will give me 30 pi. Did anybody get that?
Yes, miss.
Yes.
Right. So we have to write a formula. So it is not easy as what we have been doing. So this one requires a little more thinking. We have to use these columns, at least 2 of them, to get this. So how can we use these columns here to get this? So what do we add here to get 6? What do I add here to get 12? And what do I add here to get 20? And what do I add here to get 30? 6. Which of the two here do I add to get 6?
2 and 4, miss.
2 and 4. What about 12?
3 and 9.
3 and 9. What about 20?
4 and 16.
4 and 16. So you're seeing how the sum of those numbers here will give me the total length of circumference in all the circles. So therefore, this is 2 and 6. So I am adding n. This is my formula. And I am adding this to n squared. And this is 5. So in order for me to get this, I need to add this number, which is n, to this number. And the formula here is n, and the formula here is n squared pi. So if I add 4 and 16, I will get 20. So this is how the formula is supposed to look. So if you didn't get it, please take it down. Are we finished?
Yes, miss.
Determine the value for n when the number of dots. Well, they're giving you everything, you know. Go back to the table and see what is the formula for the number of dots and put it equal to 541. Number of dots, this is the formula. So they're telling you exactly what to use, you know, so you don't have to make up or create your own formula. They told you the number of dots is 541. So 4n plus 1 is 541. So it's a matter of getting n alone, n alone. We will remove plus 1 to this side. By doing so, it becomes -1. So 4n is equal to 540. To get n alone, we divide by the number in front of the n, which is 4. So 540 divided by 4 will give me 1 to the 5. So that for 2 marks wasn't too bad. Write down in terms of p and pi the largest circle in figure 3p. So as confusing as that sounds, they are asking for the largest circle. So go back to the table. There's no need to recreate anything. There's a formula for the largest circle. The largest circle is n squared pi. So the largest circle, or the area, I should have written, of the largest circle is n squared pi. So when n is 3 pi, 3p, the area is 3 p squared pi. And when we work out this, 3 squared is 9, p squared pi. So what I want to reinforce is that every part of the question is in the table. All you have to do, and it helps when we underline. When we underline the key things, it helps us to know exactly what we are going in the table to check. We are going for the number of dots. How much is the number of dots? 541. We go into the area of the largest circle. What is the formula for the area of the largest circle? N squared. What is the figure number?